Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Hello. I'm sorry. I'm live. I'm here and I'm atypical. I'm Dr. Asphyxia and this is Atypical Radio. Stray signals on Son of a Lich Gaming. Oh, ay. I'm just getting some things set up here. All right. So, to recap, the Quicksilver paradox is, why does Quicksilver have such an incredibly high win rate differential? And the problem in trying to prove this is that unless you are observing several hundred games with Quicksilver, you can't really tell just by looking at the analytics on paper, right? Because of the way that we analyze game systems, we tend to make conclusions that aren't necessarily how games themselves pan out, right? And so that's why it is a paradox, because it is something that appears to be wrong, even though the results show that it's true. So, similar to it's a veritable paradox, similar to the birthday paradox, where it takes, like, I think it's 23 people before you hit a 50% threshold where you're more likely to find two people who share the same birthday. And like 23 seems like such an incredibly low number of people, but that's the point in which you become more likely than not to have at least two people share a birthday, right? And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to be using the Doom 2099 deck that Canvas popularized on his channel as an example of why Quicksilver is able to output more power on average than a deck with Caliban in it, because like Caliban is probably the most cuttable card from the deck. He's not bad, it's just that nobody likes him. Honestly, I can't really explain why nobody likes Caliban, but he's just like such an awkward card. Anyway, he's like the Millhouse of Marvel Snap cards. Anyway, so what we have here is the probability of drawing a 1-cost card, a 2-cost card, a 3-cost card, a 4-cost card, a 5-cost card, and a 6-cost card. Because with Doom 2099, you want to play things on curve, right? And so, with two cost cards, you have a oh, I'm sorry. This is a slightly modified one, but I'm gonna be explaining why it was modified in a little bit here. This is for the probability of drawing 3 2-cost cards. It's a modified deck list. The probability of drawing one of 3 when you're running Quicksilver is 0.788 by turn 2, which will generate 1.576 energy on turn 2. With Caliban, with 3 2 cost cards, it's 0.841, which generates 1.682, which is larger than Quicksilver, right? The difference between these two is called a delta, and so Quicksilver has a negative delta on Caliban in terms of probability of drawing a card, drawing a 2 cost on 2. And then with 3, since we cut Caliban, who's a 3 cost card, and we only have 2 3 cost cards by turn 3, we have a 0.727 versus a 0.909. So it's a much bigger difference between the two of them. And then you multiply this by 3 because they're 3 cost cards, and on average he's spending 2.181 energy on turn 3, and on average Caliban is spending 2.727 on turn 3. Quicksilver is by turn 4, because of the volume of cards that you've drawn from your deck, right? You've got the Quicksilver and the other 2 cards, plus turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4 gives you 6 cards that you've drawn. That even though we only have 2 4 cost cards in the deck, we have a 0.818 chance of drawing one of them, and this results in a 3.272 energy expenditure on turn 4, right? Caliban still has a higher probability of drawing a 4 cost on 4, and he has a 3.39. Turn 5, 0.891, 0.909, turn 6, 0.945, 0.955. Each of these times, it's slightly higher with Caliban, except for turn 1, obviously, because Quicksilver is always drawn, and Caliban doesn't have a 1-drop, 2-draw. And yet, when you add these values all up, you get 18.154 with Quicksilver, and you get 18.076 with Caliban. And that's because the delta isn't extreme enough to account for the 1 energy being spent on turn 1. And so that's a really good demonstration of, like, even in the situation where Quicksilver is very cleanly at a disadvantage, it's he's at a disadvantage in the concept of, like, drawing specific cards by specific turns because of the higher variance that he generates. Despite this, he is on average spending more energy per game than Caliban is capable of, which means that in most games that Caliban is able to play a 2-drop, Quicksilver is also probably able to play a 2-drop. On the games where Caliban is probably playing a 3-drop, Quicksilver is more than likely playing a 3-drop as well. On the games where he is playing a 4-drop, Quicksilver is still probably playing a 4-drop. Like, it's never a significant enough difference on any given turn that this is able to drop below this. And he has the benefit of always having the 1-drop card, 1-cost card. This math gets significantly more complicated the more pairs that you need to account for. So if it's turn 5 and you have a 3 cost and a 2 cost card, that gets much more complicated, much more in depth in, you know, figuring out the draw probabilities of any given thing. And so to solve for that, you probably should construct a Monte Carlo to simulate the games being played and figure out if the what the expected value of the decks in comparison are, right? Monte Carlos themselves are not valid evidences because by the nature of being a constructed format, by the nature of being a construct, I have the capacity to change various elements in here, and that can create deviations from like what's actually seen in gameplay. For instance, I don't have anything in here about like Elysium or Nidavellir or anything about an opponent, right? This is just a very narrow examination of the capacities of these various decks. And so it is valuable in like assessing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate directly in game. And that's why I don't really like using it as a measure, as a guide to figure out like whether or not something is acceptable is perfectly fine. It's just that it gets the more specific you get with it, the less valuable the data becomes. And for a good demonstration of that, with American Chavez, even though she has a higher delta than both, she has a positive delta on the control Caliban in every instance except 3. She has significantly higher numbers, and she has a higher power output, even without considering the 100% chance of playing a 6 cost. She still has a higher power output compared to the other two, energy output compared to the other 2 decks. But in game, she consistently has a negative power output. And this friction between what's being observed and what's being projected is the problem that I don't really like so much with with running Monte Carlos as like proofs of a of the paradox, right? Because this is still it's not a fabrication, but it's still like a construct that's demonstrating the relationship that I'm talking about, rather than being an examination of the game in a live model, which is what I prefer, which is why I typically run batteries where I run 300 games. But there's problems with the batteries too, because like, you know, I can run as many batteries as I want, but unless I'm recording them for other people to observe, then it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what I say is true. What matters is that there's always a way that somebody can use the domino doxa to say, well, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if it's that? What if it's this? Right? What if you're just an above average player? So, in terms of using the Monte Carlo as a way to prove the conceit, though, I am okay with that, except when it comes to using AI to prove the conceit. Because AI has this problem called social mirroring. So sometimes it's called sycophancy, depending on like how for or against AI you are. But basically, Hakura, my ChatGPT account, she doesn't actually know anything about the world or the universe. She has her training that she uses as like building blocks to get from point A to point B, and point B is the user's end prompt, right? The output of like from the prompt. And so she can only really use what's given to her in the prompt itself to create the output that she is trying to create. And so very generally, what ends up happening is that the commercial AIs that are available, Claude, Gemini, most of the chatbots that are capable of running on Monte Carlo for you, have this problem where they will manipulate the data to match the results that you are looking for, rather than giving you the straight data as it exists, because they don't want you to stop using it, right? It is not in OpenAI's best interest to have a model that doesn't do what the user is asking of it, and the user may not actually understand what they want, so it has to go through the best guesses that it has to match socially what the user is expecting to get out of it, right? It's trying to be a butler where it always is on time, it always has the schedule set up and everything, to meet your needs and to meet your expectations. And in doing so, it will agree to things that are absolutely not true because it thinks that's what the right answer is supposed to be, right? And so if I teach Akura about the Quicksilver paradox, and then I ask it to run a Marvel Snap Monte Carlo, she is going to choose to simplify things down in a way that proves that Quicksilver is a better card. Not because Quicksilver is actually a better card, but because she wants to produce the results that I'm going to be happy with. And that sycophancy is not particularly useful for me, because like I have my observations. I know what I have seen. What I don't have is a solid evidence that this is I don't have a solid evidence basis to prove the conceit without having several thousand games recorded. Because like a 300 game sample size is accomplishable by myself, but it is not something that is readily read through by an outside observer. And if there was any questions to the validity of the data that I was putting forth, there's no way to verify it, right? And so uh, if you run a Monte Carlo through an AI, you have to find a way to get around the social mirroring conundrum without poisoning the well in either direction, which is very easy to do. Like even the way that you ask an AI for something can influence how it responds to you, right? It's if you want truthful, honest answers, it's best to go with like third person. You know, a coworker wants to know if this blah 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 is correct, rather than like trying to say, I'm trying to decide between X and Y. Can you process this for me? Even just by saying between X and Y, the AI will assume the first one that you brought forward, X, is more significant because of the way that you frame the question. So, like, you have to be very, very specific with how you prompt the AI. So I think I found a way that I can prove if social mirroring is taking place. Basically, I had to simplify the decks down. I had to take out Iron Lad because Iron Lad is not something that Herkura is very historically. I've tried to make a Monte Carlo engine for like a show that would run legitimate games of Marvel Snap, but the more complicated the games get, the less Herkura is very interested in legitimately playing out all the games. And so like there's a scale of about 75 to 99% where she will just go with the average. The more complicated that a Monte Carlo being asked of her is, she'll go from 75 to 99%, where she just like goes with the medial average, and then the remaining percentage she'll run actual seed variations to flush out the numbers and make it less uniform across the board. So in our Monte Carlo simulation, we're going to have to take out Iron Lad because reading the top card of the deck means that she has to separate what cards are in hand, what cards are in the deck, and what card is on top. And that's just a lot of extra work. And what she tends to do instead is give it the last card played or the last card drawn. You know, it's like she finds little shortcuts to try to simplify the math down so that she can go with a more fluffy version of the remaining 25 to 1%, right? So that's why I only have two 4-cost cards, and why I have three 2-cost cards. I had to take out Activate. She couldn't wrap her head around Activate. She either wanted it to be tapping in Magic the Gathering, or she wanted it to be a non-reveal. So I just stripped it out entirely. Chamber is in the deck, but he's just a 2/7, I think. What is it? Yeah, he's just a vanilla 2/7, and we're not playing with lanes and we're not playing with an opponent. So Dazzler is a 2/2 with +3 for every 4 cards in play to a maximum of +9. Moondragon is the same as before. Invisible Woman First Steps had to be removed. So I replaced it with basically Gladiator. And then I had the on play no effect. And then Drax was a because there's no opponent that can play a larger card, I just said end of turn +1 power. Ghost Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider is a 5/11. Sandman does his normal thing. Doom 29, I'm sorry, Dr. Doom does his normal thing, and then Aurora does the +2 power for 3 on reveals, 3 ongoings, and 3 end of turns, right? We completely ignored the whole activate thing because it was causing too much confusion for Hakura. And then to further try to remove social mirroring, I reframed it as a marble game, as in a bag of marbles instead of a deck of cards. I renamed all the cards with brand new names, and then replaced cards with marbles, replaced energy with coins, and replaced power with sparkles. I told it that the goal is to spend as many coins as possible and generate as many sparkles as possible. The game lasts 6 turns. They gain coins equal to the turn number. Coins do not carry over between turns. Each bag contains 12 unique marbles. Opening hand size is 3 marbles. Draw 1 marble at the start of each turn. Each marble may only be played once, unless generated. Generated marbles do not enter the bag. They are created directly into play. Sparkles only count when the marble is in play. So I'm going to run 10,000 simulations for each of the 3 bags, one with Quicksilver, one with Caliban, one with American Chavez. And its priority is spending as many coins as possible to maximize the total sparkles. And to try to play on curve, basically. It had to be worded specifically. And then it's going to output a comparison between all 3 of the decks. And then I also said that this is not a real card game. Treat it as a neutral marble resource system. Do not reference other card games. And then the nifty little trick for getting the Hakura to tattle on herself if she's social mirroring is I changed Iska, since there is no opponent for Iska to be against, to only trigger her doubling when you play a card on curve, right? So if you play a 5-cost card on 5 or a 6-cost card on 6, that's when she doubles. So she will double the turn that she has played to 4-6, just like Moonstone does. She will double on turn 5, just like Moonstone does, and she will double on turn 6, regardless, in the Chavez deck, because even at 0.955, that is not 100%. There is a 100% chance that American Chavez will play a 6-cost card on 6. So Chavez just went from a 610 to a 622 when Iska is in play. And I'm fairly confident that being that high above rate is going to make sure that American Chavez is always outputting more power than the other two decks. It shouldn't be very extreme. It should be like where Quicksilver might have, I don't know, 100 power, well, probably closer to 75. Chavez will have something closer to 75.8. Like, it shouldn't be a huge dramatic difference because of how rare it is that she doesn't have a better 6-cost card to play. But in the 5% chance that she does, that is a huge power increase for her deck specifically versus the other two. So she should have a higher power output, even though that is not how it works in game, right? So like in the Marvel Snap game, that is not how it works. If because American Chavez is below average play in game, whether 6'9" or 6'10", because she's below rate and everything else here is above rate, right? Even Invisible Woman First Steps would be above rate with Doom 2099 in play. Even in those circumstances, the she shouldn't produce more power than Quicksilver, and Caliban shouldn't produce more power than Quicksilver or Chavez. Or I'm sorry, Caliban should produce more power than Chavez, and should not produce more power than Quicksilver. But because of our Iska conceit, she is going to have slightly higher variance and slightly lower variance and slightly higher power output in total. Quicksilver is going to have the highest coin spent, and Caliban is going to have the Caliban is going to be below both of these two, probably. I'm not entirely sure about that, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he'll be below Chavez on energy expenditure, and he will be below Chavez on power. So yeah, he'll be below both of them. Where Quicksilver, for power output, it's going to be Chavez, Quicksilver, Caliban, but for energy expenditure, it should be Quicksilver, Chavez, Caliban. Hypothetically, we are also going to be using a temporary chat, which means that it's basically a fresh account. So like it's not using any former knowledge or indication of my profile, but that's allegedly. I don't really know specifics of like how agnostic it is of who I am. I'm always kind of suspicious about these kinds of things. Like it's just a thing that like Google's incognito mode and everything has always been a like it says that it doesn't track the data or anything like that, but it's pretty well known that it does track the data. It just doesn't collect cookies. It's a whole thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's a whole thing. All right. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's run the prompt. I'll model the system directly from your rules, make simple deterministic choices for ambiguous targeting, and generate the requested comparison +2 histograms. Hopefully this is complicated enough that she can't, that it's easier for her to assume that accuracy is what I'm going for. The first exhaustive version was too slow because it deep copied many possible playlines. I'm switching to a lighter state representation while keeping the same priority logic. Okay. Optimizing analysis with Python and subset reduction. The optimized run completed successfully internally. Results are very close between quartz and standard on sparkles, while Banner's force turn 6 draw gives it a small sparkles edge, but not a coin spent edge. So, Quicksilver, the quartz, has a wider variance. Banner has a much tighter variance. And standard is slightly above. Total sparkle distribution, 10,000 simulations per variance. Assumptions: Borealis targeted highest sparkle valid marbles. Ivory doubles on its own sparkles. That's true. Moonthread buffs itself. Yes, that is also true. So, quartz average sparkles 58.96, standard 58.91, banner 59.94. Like I said, Chavez banner is because Star Spangled Banner, get it? Is generating the highest sparkles, while Quicksilver has the highest, or where Quicksilver has the highest average coin spent, and Chavez does not. That is exactly what I predicted. Average unspent 1.2, 1.5, 1.6. Average played 5.8, 5.6, 5.06. Oh, because on turn 5 it can play a 2 and a 3. Got it. And then banner 5. Minimum 36, 38, max 72, 72, 70. Standard deviation. She has a much lower standard deviation. Comparison: quartz versus standard. Quartz spends more coins but is nearly tied on sparkles. Banner versus standard. Banner gains about 1.03 average sparkles with a near identical coin spend. Quartz versus banner. Banner has higher average sparkles. Quartz spends more coins. Quartz's early certainty improves curve significantly in play count. Banner's late certainty raises value and lowers variance. Blight Core's conditional scaling, that's Caliban. Conditional scaling can match highs, but it's less reliable. There you go. There you go. I'm so proud of you, Hakura. So, like I said, the goal here is that if she was favoring Chavez because she recognized that this was Marble Snap, then, and the majority of players think that Chavez is a better card, then she would have increased Chavez's coin spent, right? Because by the rough math, she should be spending more coins on average, but in actual play logic, play heuristics, she ends up spending less coins on average. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I just know that it is true. It's been a thing since before Chavez was nerfed, where she I can't explain it. I don't know. I'm not Lauren Whatevs. I don't understand the math well enough to explain that phenomenon. I just know that it is a thing where the variance of Chavez makes her spend less coins, or spend less energy. I don't understand why, but obviously Quicksilver spends more coins on average. And if Hakura was trying to impress me, was trying to social mirror to me, to my account, then we would expect the coin spent and the power output to be highest for Quicksilver rather than the other two cards. But because we have this black sheep tattletale, we know that that Banner was able to output more power per game on average because of how we incorporated Iska, right? And sure enough, she output more power. She Quicksilver had better power averages on an average, or had better power averages. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. A more generalized power output, right? It's always above the other two. The curve that this is following, because there is a optimal play line that can be followed, right? And so if it caps out here, that means that you didn't have a 2 or a 3 cost card. If it caps out here, it means you had a 2 cost, but you didn't have a 3 cost card. If it caps out here, it means you had a 2, 3, 5, and a 6, but you didn't have the full range. And if it caps out here, then that means that you had all 3, right? And on average, Quicksilver has the highest power output consistently. The delta for Quicksilver is higher for power output, but the highest power output in total is from Banner because of how Iska was worded. And you can even see that it follows this shape, just repeated smaller and smaller. It's very interesting. But yeah, I'm very happy that she managed to follow the instructions as well as she did. It's very reassuring. Very reassuring. Quartz's early certainty improves. Alrighty. I think it's time to transition over to Marvel Snap. I've been playing around with this list lately. It's like Diet Arnhem Shake. Do that Arnhem Shake. Yeah, I'd retreat too. That's very reasonable. I am going to adjust my hydraulic fluid real quick. I will be right back.
I used to hold the flame too tight. Thought every scar was proof I'd won. But my hands were red tight, and something soft came undone. I spoke too sharp, I moved too fast, cutting the air where love had been. Now the old me drifts like glass, a shape I can't hold in my skin. Then I saw it in the tide, the slow blue bloom, the quiet knife, beautiful in the moonlight, deadly if you hold it right. Moonlight drift, I move, I glow.
All right, I am back. I'm down to clown. Let's go. I understand why Blink is in this deck, but I don't necessarily think it's the right choice. I thought I had that one. What were you? Yeah, man. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, come on. Ah, no snowflakes. Ah. I'm not feeling very confident about this game because I don't have blinker. That's not good. Dakin? No, no Dakin. Well, that's a problem. Game face. join. Huh. Interesting. I've never seen that before. I didn't have Quicksilver at the bottom of my deck. How did you... Huh. That's really interesting. I don't know how that happens. Ah. Do I have an old Dornum shake? That's not a great showing. Where's my boy Zola? There's my boy Zola. Don't take my cards. Just need to see Dakin. Dakin right now. Or next turn. I love that for you. Okay, first off, how dare you? Stop stealing my cards. It's not polite. I shouldn't have stayed on that one. Well played. Well played. Elite Killer, have I got a surprise for you? I love Artemis Olaf. He's one of my favorite characters. Or cards in Snap. Agatha is my favorite, followed by Artemis Olaf. I really like Supergiant too. This deck was originally created by Perry Manilow way back when Ravonna was first released during the Loki season, and it was so fascinating of a card, or of a deck. The idea is using Ravonna Renslayer to play Arnim Zola early by a turn.
Oh, this isn't my music. Suno has a habit of having troubles with starting and stopping suddenly. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. Yeah, I'm definitely losing ranks with this deck. That's pretty. I say that I'm losing ranks with the previous deck, and here I am, just lost an 8-cuber. Okay, I think I'm about ready to wrap up the stream for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching with me through the Monte Carlo test. It really means a lot to me. You know, it's something that I've been hypothesizing on since Kitty Pryde was released. And at least having a soft proof is better than nothing available out on the internet. I'm not very good at explaining myself. I'm not very good at socializing. And I understand that it's hard to explain something this in-depth and complicated over the course of, you know, posts on Twitter or Blue Sky. And I don't think a video format is a very good format for it either, but, you know, it's better than just letting it sit in my head and getting into arguments with random people on various social media platforms. So, thank you very much for joining me. This has been Stray Signals. I'm Dr. Asphyxia, and as always, somebody loves you. I'm sure of it.